Hello everyone, in this video I will be using the DJI Mini 2 as an FPV drone. This is not compatible with any of the DJI goggles in the market because it's actually connected to your remote control with your cell phone. But we will try to use it as an FPV drone because there is an option in the settings of the DJI that the gimbal will move depending on how you move your left stick. So it will work similarly to my FPV drones such as this Mobila 6. And this is one of the good thing with the DJI Mini 2. You can produce 4K 30 frames per second videos without any additional gear, or you don't need to put a GoPro on top of your DJI Mini 2. Also, you can produce 1080p 60 frames per second. This is an old drone, so we will try to max out its capabilities. If you have a DJI Mini 3, I think this would have a similar settings and it can produce better results because you can also use it as a portrait. From landscape, you can change the gimbal settings to a portrait. Meanwhile, the DJI Mini 2 only uses the landscape mode. But we will try to see if it can really create good results. Another thing is this is quite it has a long range. The limit is 1 kilometers. That is quite long. On my other FPV drones, I think I only have a limit of proximity, probably around 100 meters or less than that, depending on the antenna of the VTX. But this one, you can go further and you can fly high, butterfly. So let's try. Let's see what can we produce by using this as an FPV drone. Let's go. So that is the results of our test for the DJI Mini 2. I think I don't need to sell this, and I'll be continually using it as a cinematic FPV drone. It's just like a Cinewhoop without the duct. But you can produce really good results with it. It's quite quick, especially on low altitude. But if you go high, it's quite... you don't feel the speed because you are far away from the subject or from your background, so you don't feel that much of the speed. But if you go very low or close proximity to a tree, to a house, or to something, to our landscape, it's quite good, especially if you really move quite fast. You just need to be very careful. But because not this propeller is quite deadly, and if you will do this, please do this on a very wide area, and you have you're sensitive enough to your surroundings so that you won't hit anything, you won't hit any person, or you won't hit a tree, or you won't damage your drone, because it's quite responsive when you're doing it in FPV mode, especially if you put it on sports mode. That is one of the critical thing that you would need to do to make it really quick. You have to use sports mode. But there is a catch: if you use sports mode, you will lose a bit of your signal so that the drone can act quite fast. So your video feed will be a bit static, especially if you're quite far from the drone. If you experience that stuttering on your video feed, try to move it to normal mode so that the drone will stop. You can control it again, then the signal will be much better compared with the sports mode. Also, when you use it in sports mode, the angle of the gimbal will be a bit low. I think it's 14 degrees, negative 14 degrees, so that the drone will move quickly. So if your drone is in normal mode, moves in this manner. If it's in sports mode, it would tilt a bit to increase the speed. Okay, so think about that and try to visualize before you do this test on your own. And I was astounded and I was surprised on how good the results were. And I think I will not sell this because that was my plan, original plan. I will sell this and probably save enough money for the Avata. But for now, I think I would use this first because I think it can create good videos. Because the Avata is quite expensive, so we don't have the budget to buy one. But for sure, one day we will be using a similar whoop from DJI because they have quite good range. Because that is one of the problems if you do FPV as a hobby. The range is really difficult to achieve unless you will use good or very expensive antennas. Okay, so we will end the video here. Hopefully you like it, and as always, see you on the next one. Happy flying.